Полную коллекцию слов ты найдешь по ссылке в описании. Копируй одним кликом и тренируй с умными тренажерами на wordbyword.io.
Contract. They signed a contract for the sale of the property. Контракт.
Law.
The new law will come into effect next month. Закон. Court. The case will be heard in court next week.
Суд.
Lawyer. She hired a lawyer to represent her. Юрист. Judge. The judge ruled in favor of the defendant. Судья. Lawsuit. He filed a lawsuit against the company. Судебный иск. Defendant. The defendant pleaded not guilty. Ответчик. Plaintiff. The plaintiff is seeking damages. Истец. Witness. The witness testified under oath. Свидетель. Evidence. The evidence was presented to the jury. Доказательства. Verdict. The jury reached a verdict of guilty. Вердикт. Attorney. The attorney advised his client to settle. Адвокат. Trial. The trial lasted for 3 weeks. Судебный процесс. Liability. The company denied any liability for the accident. Ответственность. Negligence. He was found guilty of negligence. Халатность. Damages. The court awarded damages of $1 million. Убытки. Settlement. They reached a settlement out of court. Урегулирование. Appeal. The defense filed an appeal against the verdict. Апелляция. Jurisdiction. The court has jurisdiction over this matter. Юрисдикция. Statute. The statute of limitations has expired. Статут. Prosecution. The prosecution presented its case. Обвинение. Defense. The defense called 3 witnesses. Защита. Bail. The judge set bail at $50,000. Залог. Custody. She was granted custody of the children. Опека. Hearing. The hearing is scheduled for Monday. Слушание. Injunction. The company obtained an injunction against the protesters. Судебный запрет. Subpoena. He received a subpoena to appear as a witness. Повестка в суд. Affidavit. She signed an affidavit confirming the facts. Письменное показание под присягой. Deposition. The deposition took several hours.
Показания под присягой.
Litigation. The company is involved in litigation with its former partner.
Судебный спор.
Arbitration. The dispute was resolved through arbitration.
Арбитраж.
Mediation. They agreed to try mediation before going to court.
Посредничество.
Tort. This is a classic tort case.
Гражданское правонарушение.
Fraud. He was charged with fraud.
Мошенничество.
Breach. This constitutes a breach of contract.
Нарушение.
Clause. There is a confidentiality clause in the agreement.
Пункт.
Provision. The provision applies to all employees.
Положение.
Amendment. The amendment was ratified last year.
Поправка.
Compliance. The company is in compliance with all regulations.
Соответствие.
Regulation. New regulations will be introduced next year.
Нормативный акт.
Precedent. This case sets an important precedent.
Прецедент.
Testimony. Her testimony was crucial to the case.
Свидетельские показания.
Oath. The witness took an oath to tell the truth.
Присяга.
Plea. He entered a plea of not guilty.
Признание.
Acquittal. The acquittal came as a surprise.
Оправдание.
Conviction. His conviction was overturned on appeal.
Осуждение.
Sentence. The judge pronounced the sentence.
Приговор.
Parole. He was released on parole after 5 years.
Условно-досрочное освобождение.
Probation. She was placed on probation for 2 years.
Испытательный срок.
Felony. Armed robbery is classified as a felony.
Тяжкое уголовное преступление.
Misdemeanor. The offense was charged as a misdemeanor.
Миздиминор.
Warrant. The police obtained a search warrant.
Ордер.
Indictment. The grand jury returned an indictment.
Обвинительное заключение.
Allegation. The allegations have not been proven.
Обвинение.
Claim. She filed a claim for compensation.
Претензия.
Petition. The petition was submitted to the court.
Ходатайство.
Motion. The defense filed a motion to dismiss.
Ходатайство.
Ruling. The ruling was announced yesterday.
Постановление.
Judgment. The judgment was in favor of the plaintiff.
Судебное решение.
Decree. The court issued a decree.
Указ.
Sanction. The company faced sanctions for violations.
Санкция.
Penalty. The penalty for this offense is severe.
Штраф.
Fine. He was ordered to pay a fine of $10,000.
Денежный штраф.
Restitution. The court ordered restitution to the victims.
Реституция.
Compensation. She received compensation for her injuries.
Компенсация.
Lien. The bank placed a lien on the property.
Залоговое право.
Mortgage. They took out a mortgage to buy the house.
Ипотека.
Deed. The deed was signed and notarized.
Акт.
Title. The title was transferred to the new owner.
Право собственности.
Easement. There is an easement allowing access to the property.
Сервитут.
Tenant. The tenant is responsible for repairs.
Арендатор.
Landlord. The landlord raised the rent.
Арендодатель.
Lease. The lease expires next month.
Аренда.
Eviction. The eviction notice was served yesterday.
Выселение.
Bankruptcy. The company filed for bankruptcy.
Банкротство.
Creditor. The creditors demanded payment.
Кредитор.
Debtor. The debtor failed to make payments.
Должник.
Asset. All assets were frozen by the court.
Актив.
Collateral. The loan requires collateral.
Обеспечение.
Guarantee. He signed a personal guarantee for the loan.
Гарантия.
Indemnity. The indemnity clause protects the company.
Возмещение убытков.
Waiver. She signed a waiver of liability.
Отказ от права.
Disclaimer. The disclaimer limits the company's liability.
Оговорка.
Confidentiality. The confidentiality agreement must be signed.
Конфиденциальность.
Disclosure. Full disclosure is required by law.
Раскрытие информации.
Due diligence. Due diligence was conducted before the merger.
Комплексная проверка.
Merger. The merger was approved by regulators.
Слияние.
Acquisition. The acquisition was completed last month.
Приобретение.
Incorporation. The incorporation documents were filed.
Учреждение компании.
Shareholder. Shareholders voted on the proposal.
Акционер.
Dividend. The company declared a dividend.
Дивиденд.
Equity. He holds significant equity in the company.
Собственный капитал.
Intellectual property. Intellectual property rights must be protected.
Интеллектуальная собственность.
Trademark. The trademark was registered.
Товарный знак.
Patent. She filed a patent application.
Патент.
Copyright. The copyright belongs to the author.
Авторское право.
Infringement. This constitutes copyright infringement.
Нарушение прав.
Royalty. The author receives royalties from book sales.
Роялти.
License. A license is required to operate.
Лицензия.
Power of attorney. He granted power of attorney to his daughter.
Доверенность.
Executor. The executor distributed the estate.
Исполнитель завещания.
Beneficiary. She is the beneficiary of the trust.
Бенефициар.
Heir. The heirs disputed the will.
Наследник.
Estate. The estate was valued at $2 million.
Наследство.
Will. He wrote a will before he died.
Завещание.
Trust. A trust was established for the children.
Траст.
Guardian. The court appointed a guardian for the minor.
Опекун.
Minor. A minor cannot sign this contract.
Несовершеннолетний.
Consent. Parental consent is required.
Согласие.
Capacity. He lacked the capacity to sign the contract.
Дееспособность.
Competence. Her competence to testify was questioned.
Правоспособность.
Immunity. Diplomatic immunity was invoked.
Иммунитет.
Privilege. Attorney-client privilege applies here.
Привилегия.
Perjury. He was charged with perjury.
Лжесвидетельство.
Contempt. She was held in contempt of court.
Неуважение к суду.
Obstruction. He was charged with obstruction of justice.
Воспрепятствование.
Conspiracy. They were accused of conspiracy to commit fraud.
Сговор.
Accomplice. The accomplice testified against his partner.
Соучастник.
Accessory. She was charged as an accessory to the crime.
Пособник.
Homicide. The case is being investigated as a homicide.
Убийство.
Manslaughter. He was convicted of manslaughter.
Непредумышленное убийство.
Assault. He was arrested for assault.
Нападение.
Battery. The charge was upgraded to assault and battery.
Побои.
Burglary. The burglary occurred during the night.
Кража со взломом.
Robbery. Armed robbery carries a heavy sentence.
Ограбление.
Theft. She reported the theft to the police.
Кража.
Embezzlement. He was convicted of embezzlement.
Растрата.
Bribery. The official was charged with bribery.
Взяточничество.
Extortion. He was arrested for extortion.
Вымогательство.
Defamation. She sued for defamation.
Клевета.
Libel. The newspaper was sued for libel.
Письменная клевета.
Slander. He filed a slander lawsuit.
Устная клевета.
Harassment. She filed a complaint for harassment.
Преследование.
Discrimination. The lawsuit alleges discrimination.
Дискриминация.
Termination. The termination of employment was unlawful.
Расторжение.
Severance. He negotiated a severance package.
Выходное пособие.
Arbitrator. The arbitrator made a binding decision.
Арбитр.
Notary. The document was signed before a notary.
Нотариус.
Paralegal. The paralegal prepared the documents.
Помощник юриста.
Counsel. Defense counsel objected to the question.
Защитник.
Prosecutor. The prosecutor presented the evidence.
Прокурор.
Bailiff. The bailiff escorted the defendant.
Судебный пристав.
Jury. The jury deliberated for 3 days.
Присяжные.
Juror. Each juror was questioned by the attorneys.
Присяжный заседатель.
Appellant. The appellant challenged the lower court ruling.
Апеллянт.
Respondent. The respondent filed a brief.
Ответчик по апелляции.
Claimant. The claimant seeks compensation.
Заявитель.
Litigant. Both litigants appeared in court.
Сторона в процессе.
Statute of limitations. The statute of limitations has run out.
Срок исковой давности.
Double jeopardy. Double jeopardy prevents a second trial.
Повторное привлечение к ответственности.
Habeas corpus. A writ of habeas corpus was filed.
Habeas corpus.
Pro bono. Lawyer took the case pro bono.
Бесплатная юридическая помощь.
Malpractice. The doctor was sued for malpractice.
Профессиональная халатность.
Retainer. The client paid a retainer fee.
Авансовый гонорар.
Contingency. The lawyer works on a contingency basis.
Вознаграждение от выигранной суммы.
Cross-examination. Cross-examination revealed inconsistencies.
Перекрестный допрос.
Objection. The attorney raised an objection.
Возражение.
Overrule. The judge overruled the objection.
Отклонять.
Sustain. The objection was sustained.
Поддерживать.
Adjourn. The court adjourned until tomorrow.
Объявить перерыв.
Recess. The judge called a short recess.
Перерыв.
Summons. A summons was issued to appear in court.
Судебная повестка.
Complaint. The complaint was filed with the court.
Исковое заявление.
Counterclaim. The defendant filed a counterclaim.
Встречный иск.
Discovery. The discovery phase revealed new evidence.
Процедура раскрытия доказательств.
Interrogatory. The party responded to the interrogatories.
Письменный запрос.
Exhibit. Exhibit A was admitted into evidence.
Вещественное доказательство.
Admissible. The evidence is admissible in court.
Допустимый.
Inadmissible. The testimony was ruled inadmissible.
Недопустимый.
Hearsay. Hearsay evidence is generally inadmissible.
Показания из чужих слов.
Circumstantial. The evidence is purely circumstantial.
Косвенный.
Burden of proof. The burden of proof lies with the prosecution.
Бремя доказывания.
Reasonable doubt. The defendant must be proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt.
Обоснованное сомнение.
Preponderance. The standard is preponderance of the evidence.
Преобладание доказательств.
Default. The defendant lost by default.
Неявка в суд.
Dismissal. The case was dismissed.
Прекращение дела.
Mistrial. The judge declared a mistrial.
Аннулированное судебное разбирательство.
Hung jury. The trial ended with a hung jury.
Присяжные, не пришедшие к согласию.
Acquit. The jury voted to acquit the defendant.
Оправдывать.
Convict. The jury voted to convict.
Признать виновным.
Incarcerate. He was incarcerated for 10 years.
Заключить под стражу.
Extradite. The suspect was extradited to face trial.
Экстрадировать.
Deportation. He faces deportation proceedings.
Депортация.
Asylum. She applied for political asylum.
Убежище.
Naturalization. The naturalization process takes years.
Натурализация.
Jurisprudence. She studied jurisprudence at university.
Юриспруденция.
Codify. The rules were codified into law.
Кодифицировать.
Enact. Congress enacted new legislation.
Принимать закон.
Repeal. The law was repealed last year.
Отменять.
Ratify. The treaty was ratified by the Senate.
Ратифицировать.
Enforce. The police enforce the law.
Применять.
Violate. He violated the terms of the agreement.
Нарушать.
Infringe. The product infringes on their patent.
Нарушать права.
Adjudicate. The court will adjudicate the dispute.
Выносить судебное решение.
Litigate. They decided to litigate rather than settle.
Вести судебный процесс.
Prosecute. The state decided to prosecute the case.
Преследовать в судебном порядке.
Arraign. He was arraigned on multiple charges.
Предъявлять обвинение в суде.
Testify. He refused to testify against his brother.
Давать показания.
Stipulate. The contract stipulates payment terms.
Оговаривать.
Exonerate. DNA evidence exonerated the defendant.
Реабилитировать.